Claw, aka Screamers, 1995 sci-fi horror film based upon a story by Philip K. Dick.
A world overlooked and long forgotten by those who settled it. For Commander Joseph A. Hendrickson, it is worse than hell. It is home.
What are they?
There is a new terror in their midst.
Call it a screamer. It was developed for us by Alliance on Earth to neutralize the war on the ground here.
How do you know it's dead?
They yanked this brain out.
Pretty smart.
Yeah, maybe too smart. This one seems to have modified itself.
It was designed to protect them from their enemies until it turned its sights on them.
Are they alive?
No one knows. They make themselves now.
Greetings, fiends. Today we're looking at Claw, aka Screamers, the 1995 sci-fi horror film based upon the story Second Variety, written by Philip K. Dick, starring Peter Weller and Jennifer Rubin. Screamers plot. The year is 2078. On the distant mining planet Sirius 6b, ravaged by a decade of war, scientists have created the perfect weapon. The blade-wielding, self-replicating race of killing devices known as Screamers is designed for one purpose: to hunt down and destroy all enemy life forms. This frightening weapon has continued to evolve without human guidance and devised a new mission: to obliterate all life. Colonel Hendrickson, played by Peter Weller, commands a handful of Alliance soldiers still alive on Sirius. Betrayed by his own political leaders and disgusted by the atrocities of a never-ending war, Hendrickson decides to negotiate a separate peace with the new economic bloc's decimated forces. But to do so, he will have to cross a treacherous wasteland where the deadliest threat comes from the very weapons he helped to create. Claws. Screamers was originally called Claw in reference to the villainous robots, which are called Claws in the original Philip K. Dick short story Second Variety, instead of Screamers. Second Variety. In the original story by Philip K. Dick, the plot takes place on Earth instead of Sirius 6b. Originally, Screamers were developed by American troops hiding in the moon to destroy the Russian army after the Soviet Union had completely wiped out the United States. Philip K. Dick reference in Screamers. At one point, Hendrickson refers to someone sarcastically as a, quote, real perky Pat, unquote. This is a reference to the short story The Days of Perky Pat and the novel The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, both written by Philip K. Dick, who wrote the original short story Second Variety, upon which Screamers is based. Philip K. Dick feature filmography. Folks, this is a long list, so bear with me. Second Variety, written in 1953, adapted to Screamers in 1995. Imposter, written in 1953, adapted to the film Imposter in 2002. Adjustment Team, written in 1954, adapted to The Adjustment Bureau from 2011. The Golden Man, 1954, adapted to the film Next in 2007. The Crystal Crypt, 1954, adapted to the film The Crystal Crypt in 2013. I have not seen this film. The Minority Report, written in 1956, adapted to the feature film Minority Report in 2002. We Can Remember It For You Wholesale, 1966, adapted to the feature film Total Recall in 1990. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? 1968 novel adapted to the feature film Blade Runner in 1982. Confessions of a Crap Artist, 1975 novel adapted to the feature film Barjo in 1992. Radio Free Albemuth, the 1976 novel adapted to Radio Free Albemuth in 2010. A Scanner Darkly, written in 1977, adapted to the feature film A Scanner Darkly in 2006. Infamous Peter Weller interview. In an episode of Entertainment Tonight, which aired in 1995, on the set of Screamers, an interviewer asked Peter Weller about his character. Weller, a notoriously private actor, replied, quote, "He is paid and turns up and says the lines. That's all," unquote. No further interviews were given. Screamers, Cyberpunk Romans. The designs of the helmets worn by the Alliance infantry are styled after Galea, the helmets of the Roman legionnaires. This is something of a running theme in the film, with two call signs used by the soldiers being Livy, a Roman historian, and Cicero, a Roman statesman. Henriksen's Roman coin that he's looking at the very beginning of the film, as well as the repeated description of the Screamers as autonomous swords. Dan O'Bannon's screenplay. Screamers is Dan O'Bannon's second adaptation of a Philip K. Dick novel, the first being Total Recall from 1990. Dan O'Bannon had been working on the screenplay for Screamers, which came out in 1995, as early as 1981, prior to the release of Blade Runner. The October 10th, 1984 draft credits Michael Campus as co-writer. It is unknown whether Campus also intended to direct. Ancient Game. The strange game board in the opening scene is the Game of Ur, a game from ancient Mesopotamia. The game is still played in Iraq to this day. The board they're using appears to be a facsimile of the oldest surviving board discovered in the royal tomb of Ur. Command Center location. The NEB Command Center was filmed at the Montreal Olympic Stadium. At around the 1 hour 5 minute mark, you can see the blue canvas roof in the background. I hope you enjoyed this look at Screamers, aka Claw. As always, please like and subscribe. Thank you.